Hey, I want to welcome our viewers to Back with Lucas. We're going to be talking some international and U.S. differences. And we always talk about business golf, but we want to give our viewers a perspective of his shoes that he's been in since he's played collegiate golf. He's over here now in the business world. So, Lucas, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll talk about what we were chatting earlier.
So my name is Lucas Mota. I am from Spain. I went to the US in back in 2018 with a golf scholarship to play collegiate golf. And I recently graduated from my master's and I joined the workforce. So here I pretty much share what are my thoughts on my golf progress through my college career, but also
Mhm.
how to leverage golf and business at the same time.
That's awesome. We see the power of how golf builds relationships. And given that you have transitioned into a very competitive collegiate career, now into, let's just say, a competitive business career, what have you, when you were making that transition, and obviously coming over here on a golf scholarship, you were intending to be playing on the PGA or the Live Tour. So what have you had to deal with mentally as you make that transition into the business career?
So for me, first of all, it was a very easy transition because it just happened. So when I had my golf breakdown after my freshman year in college, where I stopped breaking 80, like I was literally at my lowest. I was placing almost last on every single event. That point was when I knew that if I wanted to enjoy golf again, I would have to find a different path. And and then
Hmm.
through a couple years of talking to people, playing with members, I discovered that golf and business was something that it was very related. I never knew about it because being from Spain is not something that people consider, or at least you don't grow up with that concept in mind. And so then when that happened, I was like, well, maybe it's time to have a different approach. It's true that I still had 4 years of collegiate golf. So, but I knew that that was going to give me the discipline to after do whatever it was. But definitely after my freshman year was something that I started to learn a little bit about it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, good to for our viewers to hear, because I think there's always crossroads of our path, like you said, choosing paths that you see a future in. And so, what leading up to that freshman year, tell our viewers, like, what was your training regiment like freshman year versus when you were in grad school and getting your master's? Was it any different?
Well, in terms of the amount of golf hours that you spend, no. And in fact, I would say that when I was doing my last year of collegiate golf, I was putting even more hours than I was my freshman year. But at the same time, it was true that I made a transition from a D2 school to a Division One school. So
Mhm.
that definitely create a way higher expectation, way higher performance, a way more competitive environment. So definitely you would have to put more hours if you wanted to perform at a decent level. I'm not talking about being the best player, but even if you just wanted to be average, the amount of hours that you would have to put, it was way more.
What would you say, like, that's good. What would you say, like, when you decide to get your master's, what was the decision like there that you realized, one, that business was going to be a new path for you? How did you decide what? was you're going to be your major in discipline?
So for me, it happened that the first year of my master's, I still had 1 year of eligibility, of college eligibility. So it was a way for me to do a master's with the first year being on a scholarship. So that was a great decision. But second, it would give me a little bit more time to think about the strategy to join the labor force or to decide what was the best path to keep playing golf a little bit or try to keep golf on the side, but get to know the people, get to know the members, get to know all those people, all those now friends that I can go to, that we can play golf together, but they can also help me to find a job or to introduce me to whoever it is that will help me to improve my future.
Yeah, that's it's interesting because I think back when Rand Eberhart said, "You got to meet Lucas." I mean, it was like he really had, I think, a high regard for you, having played with you a number of times and gotten to know you. So I think for our viewers too, and you can comment on it. You were intentional about building relationships, and you had expressed maybe to Rand that you wanted to pursue with your master's. And tell our viewers before I ask the question, what is your master's? What did you graduate your master's in?
Well, my master's was in communications and media.
Okay. So did you, like, in talking to Rand, express an interest of pursuing that business and ask Rand if he knew of anybody that might be able to help? What was that conversation, that initial conversation, or one or two conversations that you might have had with him?
Well, first of all, when you are playing with a member, in this case Rand, but it is the same process with every single one. I
Okay.
mean, at the end of the day, you want to play golf with that person
Mm-hmm.
because you want to get to know that person. You don't want to rush things because obviously friendships, they don't just grow from a couple days playing golf or just a
Right.
couple conversations exchanged. So it's definitely a process, but it's true that I had an additional barrier, that it was time. For me, it was a quick moment where I have to decide what you want to do, start in the next couple months or whatever it was, and then provide the visa, all that stuff, because if not, I have to leave home. So it's true that sometimes I felt that I pushed a little bit too much, that I get into the, hey, can you help me with this, too fast. But originally, and now that I have a pretty stable job, it's all about getting to know people and make friends and play golf. I mean, the business side comes afterwards. Some people, I don't even know what they do for a living after the first couple rounds of golf.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even.
Yeah, it's that I like how you frame that for our viewers. I want to share with our viewers. I'll leave out the names, but I think it's a lesson to be taken away, the power of what golf and business have together. There's a gentleman I know, he played college golf and he actually played at the University of Florida. And he was asked when he worked for a major soft drink company to be in the foursome with some top level executives in the food industry. And so there was one stipulation. He had to ask his boss if he could get off to go play Augusta National. Now, the fact you get asked to play Augusta National floors you, because
Right.
that's that phone call we always hope we get, like, what are you doing on this day and why? Well, I've got an invitation to play Augusta National. So he gets the invitation and he goes to his boss and the person that invited him said, you got to go through the protocol. So he does, but this is what happened. His boss said, if I'm not playing, you're not playing. So he did not get to play Augusta National. Now, the fact he got invited was because he was a high-level golfer like yourself, was in the business world, and I tell you, everybody wants to play with a good golfer. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's just, especially if you're like a 20 handicapper, 15 handicapper, you're amazed how a person of your caliber can shape the ball, hit the ball, the distance you hit it. So, like, you're starting out early in the career. So don't be surprised if you get a phone call and they say, hey, Lucas, what are you doing next Tuesday? I want you to play with a couple of my friends at Augusta National.
That would be my dream.
Yes, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be? But it's so cool to understand how the business world thinks of golf, because golf is fun. Golf is exciting. Our golfers, wouldn't you agree? Like, when you started playing golf, tell us about, like, for our viewers that haven't listened to any of your other podcasts, what age did you start playing golf?
Well, I started playing golf pretty much earlier than I could walk. Like, I was pretty much born with a club in my hands. Like, I
Yeah.
was 2 years old and I was already with a plastic club hitting plastic balls in my little backyard.
Oh,
So
mhm.
I grew up my entire life playing golf. I played many other sports along the way,
Right.
and it was until I was 15, 16 when I fully focused on golf.
So who was your mentor growing up when you were, before you walk in swinging that plastic club? Who was some of your mentors?
Well, my aunt, well, she was the person who bought me those little plastic golf clubs.
Mm-hmm.
But then from there, it's been kind of like weird. I guess one of my golf coaches has been my mentor because in my family, when I started playing, they all quit golf. So when I was like 6 years old, like none of my family played golf anymore. So I don't consider they were my mentors. It was more my golf coaches that encouraged me to keep playing.
Mm-hmm. Did you, I mean, back, I don't know the age difference there, but you had Sevi, you had Olazabal, you had Sergio, and then recently John Ram. Was there anybody that you really followed at that level because they're, being Spaniards?
That's something that it's very interesting when people ask me that question. And the truth is that I never had a leader or like a person that I look up. Like neither Tiger, neither Rory. Like I never watched golf that much on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I never had that passion of I want to be like them. Like if I get there, I want to do it by my own path. I want to create. I don't want to follow anybody's steps.
Mm-hmm.
So I never look up to Tiger or Rory or Sergio or Sevi. I had no clue. I just saw. I didn't understand much about all that prestigious, kind of like majors
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I didn't even know how many majors did Rory or Tiger had. I was just watching them, and they just happened to be good players, but I didn't see much difference between them and the others, to be honest.
That's good. It's good to know. I mean, it's funny because, you assume that, everybody has those idols or whatever you want to call them. But, it sounds like you just love the game of golf and just wanted to play, and your coaches and your aunt and your family, encouraged you early on. But, there's plenty of people, I think, for our viewers, you start something, but we don't finish it. So at 16, when you were really zeroing in on a collegiate career, so what were you thinking at that age? I mean, that time, about where you were going to go play at the next level?
Well, so first of all, when I was 16, I didn't break 80. Like it was very hard for me to break 80. I was a very good ball striker with terrible course management and terrible um, pressure handling, all that stuff. Like I wasn't a good player. So when I was 16, I joined a high performance academy where it's kind of like a collegiate golf kind of version, but for high schoolers. And in that school, there's only athletes, and you practice every day and you work out every day. And, that got me the discipline, but also it got me so much better because I went from practicing twice a week, which was the weekends, to play every single day with a coach and teaching me like everything, like the shot shape, this type of shot, how it's played, course management, all those strategies. And in addition, we had a sports psychologist as well. So in those 2 years, I made more progress than the rest of my life.
Well, that's very encouraging because I remember years ago, I don't know how many years ago, I was reading that Bill Gates hired a coach for bridge. So he wanted to learn how to play bridge. And so he went out and hired a coach that could teach him how to play bridge. So the idea that you went to the high performance, academy school to really get your mind and your physical skills to another level is pretty, that's remarkable. I think that's great that you pursued that, because playing every day and working with a mindset coach and working, on your game is not easy. Did you at any time during that year say, this is a little too much for me, I think I'll go back to just playing twice a week?
Well, first of all, those if it wasn't for those 2 years, I would never have been playing college golf. That's that on the
Yeah.
first place. And then second, not at all, because it was such a big improvement. Like I went to place runner up in the national championship. I think my worst season, like my worst tournament was like a top 10 on that uh, last year of high school. So I was enjoying that much golf that I was like, damn, I want to keep playing. Like I want to just keep it rolling, like keep putting the work because this is fun.
Did you at the man? That's a great testimony for the journey of really getting committed on something. I think anything, if we don't commit to the discipline of learning that level of performance, you'll never be able to see what your potential is. So, did you, after you were age 16, at what point did you start looking at a collegiate career overseas or in the US or wherever?
So I went to the US August of 2018, and I started looking by some kind of like November, December of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have much time between the moment that I signed or I started looking and the moment that I decided where to go.
Hmm. So, would that performance academy school that you went to, did they have like career counselors or people that would come alongside you to kind of give you some options? What was that like?
No, there are separate companies that help you in all this process, and it's true that they know those companies, so you can meet those companies through the school coaches and all that. But it's a completely separate company that help you to go to the US.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of your what at what age did you come over here when you were 18?
Yes, 18.
Okay. So what was, I mean, I had a gentleman on my podcast, and He was from India, and so he went to KSU at 15, didn't speak English, had to get used to the food, the culture, everything at 15. And I about dropped my jaw. I mean, I was thinking of what I was like at 15. I was not even, So what was it like for you when you all of a sudden you're over here by yourself, you're, at playing golf, you're learning a new culture, new food. What was that like when you were that first 6 months?
To be honest, it was a huge sensation of like freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I I was very scared at the beginning, of course, but after a couple months, I knew that that was a place where I wanted to stay. Like I love the US. I love the vibe. I love how how everything works, and I knew that I wanted to at least finish the 4 years of college. From
Mm-hmm.
there, it was a different story, but I knew that I wanted to finish my college career there.
That's really good. What would you say for our viewers that may be thinking about making the transition from their country to here? What would you do to encourage them? I mean, obviously, we're at kind of a crazy time when at least some of the young people in our country don't appreciate what you said was freedom. I mean,
Mhm.
there is a lot to be said about having a contrast to be able to see the benefits of it. What would you say to a viewer that when you said when you said freedom and you like the vibe, what's that like? Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So for me, basically, I saw that people tried to work hard and people try to get to somewhere. Like here in Spain, most of the population they live without ambition, without motivation. They are just very comfortable to where they at, and they just live with whatever happens in their environment. They don't care. They
Mm-hmm.
don't try to change it. In the US, I feel that they are more encouraged to fight for what they want and pursue their dreams. And I felt that that was something that it was necessary for me because I was in that Spanish mood, in that Spanish mindset of being just comfortable with everything, with my environment, and this is how it is. And now I'm in a country where if I actually try and I fail, is it's good. Like people are not gonna judge me. So that was pretty encouraging and motivating for me to stay.
Did oh that's awesome. Thank you there. What would you say did golf because how competitive golf is? I mean, it's you against the course. So you really have to create a mindset that you like competing if you want to compete in golf because you just can't say, well, I'll just go out there and hit the ball around. Did the golf competitiveness add to you wanting to pursue that and then pursue it at a higher level collegiately with your coming to the US?
Everything helps, of course, but when you are very good player in Spain, you think, oh, I'm just going to crash. I'm going to go to the US and I'm still going to be very good player. And then you get there and you realize that their people work twice as hard and that you are just a simply average golfer.
Right.
So that was like amazing to me. I mean, it's something that I never handled very well. That's obviously my fail, my crash when it comes to golf. That's the reason why I stopped loving it. But it just amazed me how hard people work in the US for golf.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, I noticed that when I've met a few of your teammates, there is kind of a global feel. I mean, there's different people from all over. And so golf has become more global. So I can't let you go without asking the question about where Liv and the PGA Tour is, and John Rahm, who is from your country, recently signed. What's your thoughts about, moving to a different type of tour?
Well, I feel golf is experimenting a transition. It's going towards something different kind of a style of golf. It's not that extremely rich and very wide environment, and only certain people can succeed and all that. So I feel that Leaf is giving a very new approach, which John Ram wants to be part of it. And on top of that, everybody has a prize, and that's it. When you get offered such a big amount, I mean, it's tough to say no to something.
Right.
And you might agree or disagree, but if they put that amount on top of the table, it's like where I'm going. I don't care what.
Yeah, they always say like everybody has a price, and the legacy, the ability for him to, impact his family, his lifestyle, and all. I like the way he plays. I like the way he carries himself. I like just everything about him. And I know everybody wants to throw rocks at people that are successful. So sometimes they want to be critical that, hey, you're not the traditionalist, and you're not taking the normal
Exactly.
path. What are you doing? But I do have a lot of people your age in golf, and I've always asked them, some of them when they get into golf, the
Right.
amount of time it takes, like Top Golf has really help the game because you can enjoy a few drinks, eat, and just go out there with some friends and hit the ball and not spend 4 or 5 hours on a golf course trying to figure out how to keep it in the fairway. So the attention span of today's golfer, under 30 is different than it was when I grew up, at least. So what would you say, like, to our younger people that are thinking about embracing golf? How would you encourage them? Because you're in their age bracket, and you played collegiate golf. Now you're in the business world. What could you tell to our viewers about that?
First of all, I would say that you only have one chance. I feel that right after collegiate golf, it's the only moment where you can actually turn pro and be successful. And
Mhm.
for that to happen, you need to be extremely mentalized that that's what you want to pursue, because
Mhm.
there is such a huge competition in that level, and a lot of people wanting to play professional golf, that it is ridiculous the amount of effort that you want to put. So if you love golf, go for it 100%. I'm not gonna say no, but if you take 1 year, 2 years to take it chill, or 2 years to rest or whatever, you are already falling behind.
Yeah, it just speaks in all the sports across the board how competitive it's getting. you know, Years ago, when Jack was growing up, you only had you didn't have as many people globally in the game. Now, boy, it is competitive. And like you say, you better be committed to getting to that level, because I know, I think we spoke about this, but we played a 1 day member guest. And so the gentleman I was in the cart with, Sean, he's with PGA Superstore. He said, "Did you notice that guy over there on the putting green?" I said, "No." He said, "He's with KSU, and he's been putting for over 3 hours. And when he misses a putt, he does push-ups." And I was going, man, that's dedication. 3 hours putting with, different tools and stuff. And then when you miss, you take push-ups. So you probably know the person. I don't know. But Sean was like, that's how competitive golf is now. You better be willing to spend hours and hours on that putting green and doing things like miss a putt, take a pick push-up. So as we close our podcast, tell our viewers how they get a hold of you, and what would you like our viewers to go away with this morning?
If you are in a situation where you doubt if you want to play collegiate golf or not, do it 100%. Even if you don't want to turn professional afterwards, I feel that collegiate sports create such a amazing environment and such a different college experience that on top of that will give you the discipline for afterwards when you join the work labor. So if you are playing for whatever sport it is, just keep doing it, get to college, play college sports, and then it doesn't matter what you do. But if you go to college through athletics, it's way more fun.
That is awesome. And how can people get a hold of you, Lucas?
So they can follow me on Instagram, LukeSky_29, or my LinkedIn, which is Lucas Mota Pascual, or I don't really have much more social media, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, if you're playing golf, you're not hanging out on social media. I can assure you that. And I had somebody ask me the other day, when some of these very competitive golfers, they don't do their own social media. They're not just scrolling on social media, because you got to be committed to the time put into the sport. So we'll put some links in the show notes for our viewers to be able to follow you, and it's going to be interesting for our viewers to be able to be in your shoes. The golf to business is an incredible journey that I think a lot of people want to know how they can be different in business. And if you have those golf skills in your bag, you're going to get invitations to places like Augusta, and maybe you'll be able to play. And we'll certainly have you back after you play Augusta National, and you can tell us about that experience. So,
absolutely.
All right, thanks, Lucas. We appreciate you being on, and we look forward for having you come back. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.